Hello, gorgeous beasts. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast and enjoying it and staying with us and doing deep woo-woo stuff while at the same time getting your laugh on with Cassidy and myself. We want to let you know before the podcast today that I'm doing a 3-day healing retreat in Mancos, Colorado, known to many a spiritual practitioner as the womb of the world. We have room for 10 people to join us on this 3-day healing retreat, during which time I will be channeling all of the different light beings that desire to come through. So different races of light beings exist, like the Mintakans and the Pleiadians and the Syrians and the Lyrans. And they like to show up and contribute high vibrational healing energy. So what we'll do is November 6th through 8th, you'll join us in person here in Mancos, Colorado. We've got discounted hotel rooms for you all set up. It'll be stunningly gorgeous and crazy high vibe. And this is for people who are looking for healing, integration, and or to know God and the divine more intimately. You don't have to be traumatized to be on a spiritual path, and being traumatized is kind of helpful when you're on a spiritual path. So join us November 6th to 8th, Mancos, Colorado. Email me if you're interested. klrubin@gmail.com. That's K as in kiss, L as in love, RUBIN @gmail.com.
Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions they asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records. Akashic, we laughing, we drafting the passion through various. Time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Consciousness always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magicless, passionate. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
Yeah, geez Louise. Well, I had a fun thing happen today, which is that I'm like pretty close to being, fingers crossed, probably, hopefully, maybe, more than likely, I have a slot, a 3-month slot booked in, almost for surezies, so I probably shouldn't talk about it yet, but it's pretty damn close. In the first season after COVID, or when there's a vaccine, at the Mancos Opera House, to direct a play. And I have more than likely 80% sure some funding, probably. So
can't wait. I can't wait to come and act with you, Katie.
I know.
When you hire me out there.
So that means I'll be able to bring, my plan is bring all the peeps, bring the fucking peeps and do some cool shit. I had a meeting with them today and I asked them, could we do 1 slot a year for sure? And they were like, yeah.
I guess when you enter a vacuum, and I don't mean that insultingly, but like there is a vacuum. There's you've walked in a place where there are things and there are also not things. So the possibility is either, well, there's no this here, oh well, or
I'm the one doing it.
Wide open possibility and actual access to amazing things. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's just what I like about it too is they don't even know how good I am at it. Like I'm gonna kill it dead, but they just think like, sure, we'll let her do that here. And
that'll be cute
because she can pay for it or whatever. I don't know what they're thinking, but
because you've also befriended people who might be good underwriters of said work.
Hopefully, maybe we'll see. And if not, they have they know where to point me to get the grant money and all of that. So
that's amazing.
The other weird part about the whole thing, and this is perfect for our podcast, is that for years, I've had in the back of my head, like, one day I'll have a theater company and I'll run shit and I'll be producing and directing. And I know that'll happen. But every time I would go to like bother with trying or think about trying or think about a venue, it was like, it felt to me like I was pushing against the weight of the world. Like, so much competition. Who needs another fucking theater? Even if it was a small town, like I thought like, okay, I'll move to Benicia and I'll be like the one game in town in Benicia. It was like, they didn't really need it. And I didn't really want to. And the energy just wasn't there. And it was hard. It just felt hard. And then I get here and like, I can't stop it from happening. like, I'm just like, I wonder if I could go in there. And the person I wonder at is like, oh yeah, well, that guy runs it. And I go, hey, can I go in there? And they go, yeah.
Here's the
and then
key.
And then I'm like messaging, I yell it. I've been talking with her. She's great. She's on the East Coast now. And I've been like, yeah, so I know kind of the style of the piece I want to do and the kind of seasons I want to put together, but I'm not sure of plays. And I'm not actually a big reader of plays. She goes, oh, I read every play that comes out. I love reading. What kind of play do you want? She's like she knows every play. She's like, oh yeah, I have every play this year and the past 20 years in a file. And I read them all. What do you want? And I'm like, what? So she's like helping, and like, I don't know. It's just been like that, man. It's just been like that. And then it brings me to just like this topic of physical locations on the planet and what they do for different people.
Yeah.
And how I myself like have known that as a concept in the sort of astrology world, but I've had so much like resistance to it and cynicism about it. I think mostly because I just was like, I'm not leaving California, so I don't give a fuck where I'm supposed to be because fuck you, I want to be here.
Right.
But then when it became like, I actually don't think I want to be here, then I was like, how about we check out those astro lines?
Yeah.
And did I tell you the story of the astro lines for me?
A little bit, yeah. You said that it like landed right where you are. Like
right through the four corners. And I only discovered that on my third trip out here, which I then went like, oh, well, nada. And if I hadn't, the last thing I'll say, just really fast, if I hadn't come here and experienced everything I've been experiencing, I'd still be like, not so sure I could buy into that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I want to know, like, did you have to hire someone to do a reading, or is there like a website we can be like free astro locations?
No, 100%. Go to astrolabe, labe.com, astrolabe.com. And then, okay, it's a weird button within that website.
I remember, I think I looked and couldn't find it.
I'll find that. That's a good thing for the notes, for our notes section of our podcast, which we have one of now. Yeah, we'll post that for folks. Right. So anyone for free you can just enter your birth date and it's there. So yeah, I mean, yeah, fuck, I don't even know. It's just been thing after thing. And, you know, a lot of it, you can chalk it up to like small town living. If somebody shows up from California who knows theater and says, can I do shows? Someone is probably going to say yes, because it's a small town.
Right. But
also like, I don't know. I've been in other small towns. It's just, there's also 9 million other things I can say about the energy here and the weird synchronicities and the constant flow of magic that's happening that just make it all be like, no, it's for real. It's like a for real thing. Awesome. And in fact, I may even like offer a class where we use the Akashic Records to find people's best place living readings.
I love that idea.
Yeah. How are you? How's your week?
I've been on and off. It's been, I had therapy right before this, and I promised myself I would be like we always try and be, like just open and honest and true and real, and like, where am I at? How am I today? Like, the last few days I've been okay. Today, this morning, I woke up, and as the day started, I was like, oh, I am angry, sad, and scared. All three. Very much. State of the world, mostly state of the world. It's not personal. It's more global, but like really like what the fuck? And also not just for myself, but like feeling the sort of collective grief. There's the collective outpouring of not surprising. Like everyone's like, yeah, we're not surprised, but like literally that they charged the one officer for shooting into a wall, but not for shooting Breonna Taylor. Mm-hmm. Like, that's insane. As I saw one sign that said, they charged him for the bullets that missed. Like, that is insane to me. Like, and the level of grief that people are just reignited with, not surprisingly, just kind of hit me this morning and I couldn't shake it. So yeah, feeling the collective grief and anger, fear at, Trump saying, we'll see. Yeah, probably not. There won't be a peaceful transition of power because they'll have cheated if I lose. He just said it. He said, I won't accept defeat, basically, in an election. Oh, okay. That's great. That's fucking great. So, like, I can't
Oh,
hide
yeah.
from the fact that that's where I'm a little bit jagged and angry, and just, although, like, even that energy faded as soon as I got on with you guys. I was like, oh, I can just speak and be truthful and happy, but I don't want to hide from it either. I don't want to say, oh, I'm happy to see you. Everything's great.
Uh-huh. Right.
Because right here, everything's great, but everything's not great.
I get you.
Things are fucking, I mean, they're no worse than they were a week ago. I'm feeling it more today.
Well, but we did lose RBG.
That's true. So they are worse than.
And the Briona thing, there was more info that came out, right?
Yeah. I mean, they came out, they finally said, here's what we're going to do. Not charge anybody with any kind of crime. Oh, great. That seems fucking reasonable.
Do you know anything about what they said about why?
I haven't read full statements or anything. So no.
Yeah. And who is the they?
The state attorney general. They basically announced what, if any, charges would be filed. And literally out of 3 officers, one of them is charged with 2 counts of reckless endangerment for firing into the adjoining apartment. Like, that's it. That is it. Not for firing into a human's body, but for firing into the drywall and possibly endangering other people. Like, that's the only level to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, and just symbolically what that says about value of a Black woman's life. Like, that is that it implies that the wall is more valuable than her life.
Well, it could
whether they're saying that, but that is what it feels like.
I think that's what it feels like. Yep.
Yeah. So that's trapped in the sieve of my brain right now. Other things are passing through, and that gets caught in the grease trap.
And Rami left town.
Saturday. Full transparency. About my state, always, I allowed myself, I was proud of myself based on some of the work we've done here, work I've done in therapy. I was like, I'm going to name and go all the way into the feelings I'm having right now by myself, with myself. And I did, and it was great.
And what were those feelings?
Just sad. Just straight, simple, easy to speak out sadness and cried, which I don't do by myself very well. So to do that was great. If I name it out loud right now, and walk into the fire instead of going, it's
hot in there. I think I'll go over here.
I'm not going to say the word because then I will cry.
I
feel, how are you doing? The vagueness of things that I've spent years living in. So,
yeah. Can I tell you a feeling story that's so different from that, but related because it's about feelings?
What would happen if I said no?
Then I would
be bad
improv. I would throw the computer against the wall.
Oh, don't do that. Tell a story.
Can you imagine if I threw the computer against the
Katie?
wall? Yeah, no. I'm just listening to you and I'm thinking I'm just going let's talk about how humans are different. Yesterday I woke up in the morning with this really strong feeling in my body and by the way, thank you for telling us that. Thank you for practicing being present with your feelings. Thank you for sharing with the listening public that you're doing that. Thank you for being a man who's having his feelings in the moment and letting them exist. All of that.
Thank you for thanking me. Yeah. It's an endless cycle there. But no, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, my pleasure. I don't want to blow past that because it's not a small thing. I woke up in the morning yesterday and I had this profound, heavy, sad feeling of loneliness, specifically, like harrowing loneliness. And I thought, okay, well, that came out of nowhere, but that makes sense. I'm in a new place. I'm meeting new people. I don't have my close people here. Like, okay, so I'm lonely. So went a bunch of hours thinking like, I'm just really lonely today. I left a couple friends, a couple messages. I'm really lonely today, feeling a lot of loneliness, lonely. Then I took Squeeze to the dog park at a certain moment. And we were walking around the most stunning fucking dog park I've ever seen. The
Everything out there is stunning.
It is.
The dog park is stunning.
It is. It's like a magic field of light. I can't even, you have to come and visit and then you'll know.
The cabbage farm is stunning.
Well, there's like a little river around the edge of it, and the trees are perfect, and the sun always seems to be perfect, and there's big field of green, and the dogs are romping, and it's fucking great. Anyway, I'm there, and all of a sudden I remembered a tool from one of the healing schools I went to, because I was like, this feeling is so intense, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make actually any sense. And the tool is to feel into the feeling and say, is this actually mine? Who does this?
Remember this one.
Right?
Yeah.
Who does this belong to? So I go, wait, is this mine? I got a big no. And I go, oh, okay. God, can you like clear it? Boom, gone. Brand new day. Right after that. And I was sort of like, oh, I'm not feeling lonely. Then I was like, hold on. Who the fuck was lonely then? Because that was some intense ass loneliness. And this is what I got. Because remember, I don't know if you guys remember this. Maybe I said this on here. Maybe I said it to, I can't remember who I said what to. But somehow in the portal that Mencos, Colorado is, this valley that I live in, my records are kind of always open here. I am tapped in to the records all day. And I used to ask in California, like, what's it going to take for me to just be in a place where I can trust my asking without having to sit down and do a prayer and say a thing? Can I just ask? And I'd always get a no. And then I get here and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, I can't not ask and have clarity. It's blowing my mind. So I'm sitting there and I'm going like, I asked a lot of questions and basically I live a few miles away from a cemetery, like a bunch of miles, maybe like 4 miles away from a cemetery. I asked a lot of questions and I got to some dead lady in that cemetery, saw my open energy field, latched onto me and was looking for some facilitation. She wanted freedom. And so I sent her away and she was free and it all happened in a second, in a second.
Wow.
So I'm just like, there are all these different things that are true about feelings, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
And it doesn't stop with just feel the feeling. It starts with feel the feeling.
Yeah. And then I also, like if I just go, I'm sad, I've just labeled it and like boxed it, or as opposed to it's almost like saying, I should be saying like, I think I'm sad. Let me go into that feeling. And then sometimes I'll find out like, oh no, I'm scared, or behind the fear is anger, or like whatever. But like, yeah, just walking into the feeling isn't everything. You have to inquire about the feeling. And then part of that can be, maybe this isn't even mine.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm saying that sometimes the thing to do with a feeling is just be with it and let it just be with it. And that's the end of the sentence. Other times it's like, you don't have to carry that thing around because it wasn't yours to begin with. And still other things, like other times it's like bring the light of the divine into it and see what the light of the divine does to it, which then will inform you on something. I find every time I bring the light to a feeling, it gets put in its right place. So if I'm having a feeling that I'm supposed to just have, it just stays there and lightens up a little bit when I bring the light to it. If I'm having a feeling that needs to process through, the light pulls it through and I'm done with it. If I'm having a feeling that that's trying to show me an action I need to take, I'll be like, oh, I have to do that thing. I got to call that guy, send that email, show up to that thing. Feelings are like, they're like a flag for something.
Yeah.
But we think A, don't feel the flag, or B, feel the flag. And then that's the end of the conversation. Good luck and just feel that flag forever because that's all you can do. And there's more to it. There's more available. So
I don't know if I've told the story, and I don't want to tell it right now because it's too long and I want to get Carlos on here, but like maybe put a pin in it unless I've already told it. My most profound experience with the idea of is this mine or someone else's after you gave me that tool.
Tell us. I'll tell Carlos we need 5 minutes. How's that?
Or you could bring him on and I could just keep talking.
Sure.
Whatever.
Go for it.
Yeah, I don't remember if I've told it or not, so I'll just tell it, and that's fine. You can hear it again, people. This was at a time like 3 or so years ago, 3.5 years ago, some years ago, 3 years ago, where I talk about this time on the podcast, like sort of the darkest night of my soul, where I was in the most sort of emotional pain at a certain point, and all kinds of things were full of turmoil, blah, blah, blah. And I was turning to you a lot, had a couple of different sessions with you about stuff. But just in conversation, you told me about this idea of, is this mine or someone else's? And you told a story about a profound experience you had in like a hotel room around that. And I took that. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward a couple weeks. And I had been in generally kind of in a spirally shitty place, but this leveled up, and I got deeper into the darkness, and I just was so stuck. I was upset with a relationship I was having with this woman that was this sort of push-pull, very challenging, difficult, love me, don't love me energy going on. And I was sort of addicted, and there was all kind of stuff going on. But I was particularly upset about it, a conversation we'd had. And then I was replaying it and trying to change the outcome. And I was so stuck.
Yeah.
And really in crisis. I was sitting upstairs in my room where I'm sitting right now nearby. And I asked that question, and I didn't have any response right away. And you'd kind of said just ask it. You're not going to get an answer necessarily, but just start the process. And so I just said I don't know, is this mine or someone else? This feels stupid. Is this mine? Is this mine? This feels really ridiculous that I'm asking this question. Of course it's mine, but is this mine? Is this mine? Whatever. So I had that moment. A couple of hours went by and I got worse. I went darker and deeper, and I started thinking about what I was struggling with. And suddenly at the same moment, I had the realization that I was trying to control this other person. Right. I was needing to control what she did.
Right.
And that's anathema to me. The idea that, especially in my sort of male gendered energy of that I'm controlling a woman, that's not okay. That idea was so anathema to me that I was what? And right as that happened, I literally felt and saw out of the corner of my eye something leave me, shoot out of my brain head. Felt more sort of top of brain stem. I turned, I was where did it go? And I saw it fly out the window. Didn't really get a good look at it.
Yeah.
It was just a dark energy. This is the closest I've had to experiencing what I think you call demons.
Yeah.
And it was palpable. It left my body. I felt the clench around my throat and my chest just go and just let go and release.
Wow.
I still had the feelings. The feelings were still there.
Okay.
The sadness, the chaos, but the control that those feelings had on me, the manic madness that was going on, was gone. It just went away. And it was cool. Kind of like you've described, I was being almost like there was a demon on the top of my brainstem, running me, pew, 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 with little joysticks, sure. And as soon as I said no, that's not okay.
Right.
He was oh shit, he's going to see me. He was pew, he was out.
Wow. That's great.
It was palpable. And I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and that was a trip, because that is a trip. Because that's the closest to sort of extra-worldly energy I think I've ever experienced.
Oh, I love it so much. I love it.
Yes. So that's my whole story about that idea.
No, it's a great story. And you're reminding me of something that one time I was having a session in William's office in, what's that place called where the boats are, houseboats in Marin?
Sausalito.
Thank you. I was in Sausalito in his office, and I had my eyes closed because there's just a lot of energy moving, and I heard funk, and I was what? And it blew my eyes open, because I was what the fuck was that? And he was oh, I tend to throw entities out the window, but it hit the side of the window as it was leaving. And he says It happens all the time. Thunk, thunk. He's like, I throw shit out that window all the time. And sometimes you hear it, sometimes you don't. And I'm someone who I feel that in my body. I feel entities come up and leave, or I can see them in my third eye internally, but I haven't ever seen that. I haven't like heard it hit a window.
Sensory experience of
No, exactly. No. And that reminds me tangentially. Oh, there's Carlos.
God, he's handsome in his headshot. We'll see when his actual camera comes on.
Yeah,
I think he's probably also handsome.
He's probably nasty in real life. Just
so what happened to you, sir?
Hold on 1 second, because my girlfriend tried to play a joke on me and preset a filter that I'm trying to take off.
No, leave the filter. Leave it. We want to see it.
Turn
no, I don't want to see
the
it.
camera.
No.
I hope that it is angel wings and kitty cat ears.
Okay, no. She was trying to sabotage me.
Oh, hey.
Carlos, you're here.
What's up?
Hi, thank you for being here.
Oh, man.
Listen, we were just talking about demons, which I know is Carlos and I have a lot of fun text exchanges. And he's pretty much every time we talk, he'll be like, don't do one of them readings on me. I don't want to know. I don't want to know the shit you know. Don't tell me them. What are you going to get demons in shit? And I was like, ooh, we're talking about demons and Carlos is coming on. I love it.
Yo, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of demons going around right now.
Oh boy, that's also what we're talking about.
We're talking
about what's going on. How you guys doing? You guys good?
Realities. Yeah, man. Thanks for being here. So for people who don't know, Carlos is the human mammal who wrote our brilliant genius theme song, which Cassidy and we've talked about a few times of like, is it okay that we as two white people podcasting have that theme song? Is it okay?
A little weird.
It's not great. I don't know where to land. I honestly don't know. Which you probably means
you guys.
Do we have your permission? No.
You guys sound like the subconscious of every white guilted person.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
I know.
Well, look, I was listening to another podcast about the Enneagram, and it's two folk who are, older and talk about the Enneagram and whoop-de-whoop. And they have a like a very like heavy beated hip hop, but it feels like sort of late 80s, early 90s kind of do
yeah.
Kind of. And it's clearly a black guy rapping it.
Yeah.
Just I hope actually.
Wait, are they
I hope it is, because otherwise there's
Are they white people?
Yes.
Okay.
She is.
You said folk, and I didn't know what that meant.
I'm not sure where what his situation is, but it just, regardless of their ethnic extraction, that one is embarrassing to me. And so like I compare it to ours, and I'm like, no, ours doesn't feel embarrassing to me. That one feels embarrassing.
But what's embarrassing about it specifically? Because the goofiness of the song?
I don't know.
Or the black
I think it
guyness?
might be. Yeah, and it feels very that's what it is. It feels very the black guyness.
I'm saying the black guyness of it. Like if you're two white folks, white lady and a white guy, and you've got like a black man rapping for you.
Yeah.
That's black guyness.
That word, that phrase you just used, that's where I think it feels like a black guy rapping for them. Which feels very like almost like it feels separated. Feels separate.
Right. Well, in all fairness, the song that is for your podcast, the song that we created, the song that I created. So for me, when I think about the song, I actually think about the spiritual connection, right? So spirituality, I mean, I hate to say this, but spirituality is the closest that we can get to some form of equal ground that's, I don't want to use the word colorblind because that doesn't sound right, but
I know what you mean.
It's more expansive of a world where we can talk to each other's souls as opposed to each other's flesh and
that's right,
and the things that come with that.
Yeah.
So for me, on a spiritual level, I immediately connected to Katie and what she was about with this podcast, and that was kind of what drove that whole, let's just say that it happened to be a rap. Like the medium is spoken word, text, but it just happens to be a rap. It's what I do. I love doing it. I love writing rap. So it's almost like that. It's almost like thinking of it like, it's just a medium that we use.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's my reaction.
Yeah, go ahead, Cass. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say it feels true. It doesn't feel externally generated, whereas this other one that I'm comparing it to really feels like they're saying like Enneagram 1.2. Yeah.
Oh no.
Right. I'm like, oh,
it's
guys,
a little like you're trying to hipponize or you're trying to loop in with a hip thing, right?
Okay.
And there's a difference between the disconnect there because it's sort of like a advertisement as opposed to a statement. And I think like what we did with our song, I'm going to call it our song.
It is.
Do your song
is a statement. Is a statement about how spirituality moves. When I wrote it freeform with no, like when I write bar structures in my raps, they're genuinely very concise, super technical, and very like formulaic in whatever formula that I'm using. I might change the formula, but I'm in control of the formula. And I really feel like I stick to the parameters of, the artists that I grew up listening to. But when it came to this one, I wanted it to flow. I wanted it to flow like water, to be stream of conscious. And yes, there's going to be rhyming in there, but not in perfect, succinct bar counts where you can be like, oh, there's the rhyme, there's the rhyme. It's more like, do-do-do-do-do. Here's a rhyme, here's a rhyme. Oh, here's not a rhyme. Do-do-do-do. So it kind of like, I felt like I wanted it to mirror the way that I feel Katie, because this was my connection to the song, was Katie asking me to do it. And we have a connection. So I was trying to move the way I thought maybe Katie would move if she was rapping.
Oh my God, Carlos, I fucking love the shit out of you. Listen, when you started talking a second ago, when you said like, I love rapping, I think you were like, I did it because that's what I do and I love it.
Yeah.
When I can feel in my body your love of it and your alignment to the energy of joy when you talk about rap and when you're rapping. And people need to listen. People need all of the people listening right now. Emcee Infinite is this man's rap name. Where should let's just, first of all, where do they find you? Instagram?
Yeah. So I'm on all, you know what they say? They say, I'm on all the socials.
Yeah.
I got to pause real quick because Desmond is looking right at me. That picture is looking right at me. It's almost like he's like, yeah, I believe you, but what else are you going to say?
That's even worse.
There he is again. His actual face.
What's up, Desmond?
Have you guys actually met?
No.
This is Desmond.
Hello,
nice
Carlos.
to meet you.
And the intro song is great, and from a sound engineer's point of view, you sound fantastic. So,
I love it.
Since I've butted myself in here, I do have to ask Katie and Cassidy. So Carlos isn't in the picture. You two are sitting in a room starting a podcast. What Mumford and Sons Motley Crue song do you come up with?
You mean what white person music would we create?
Mumford and Sons.
Unfortunately, I think this is where Katie and I will split. It would be like the marriage of like, Angel Music meets Neutral Milk Hotel, or like.
Okay, hold on a minute. You have met me before, and I do not listen to angel music. I channel angels, but I do not listen to woo-woo music. I do not prefer it. If it were just me, I'd probably, this is maybe a terrible thing to say, but I'd probably write a rap. I would. Listen, we haven't talked about this on the podcast yet. My first solo show, right, was written, the whole narrative was structured around 5 poems. And the poems all were literally given to me. I was living in New York City at the time, right out of college, and I was all fucked up. I was trying to get sober and get my shit together. And these poems, I got sober and I stopped like weird dieting and food rituals that I had. And I was like getting my health in order. And these poems, I'm telling you, were delivered unto me. And they were totally rhythm based. They were little mini raps, and they were the whole backbone of the show. And then ever since then, also, I was asked to speak at graduation at college. I was kind of like one of the valedictorian-y people. By the way, Bill Cosby spoke that day as well.
Oh.
And did not give me drugs. Did not give me any drugs. Point being, they asked me to speak, and I did a 7-minute poem that was like rhythmic and kind of rappy, but not rappy. Right. Anyway, so I've always just felt in my being and in my essence, like this real affinity with rhythmic speaking and speaking in time. And when I first met you, Carlos, we were like co-teachers, I think, through what's her name? Elena's
Stage Right.
Stage Right.
Yes.
And this motherfucker was like beatboxing with these kids. And I was like, what the fuck is that guy doing in an elementary school? Because that is a talented motherfucker. And yay, that rappers are in elementary schools and we need you there and it's a big deal.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, you were so talented and it was so my thing that I was like, that guy, I get that guy. We're going to be buddies. So anyway, I might have written a rap is what I'm trying to say.
I have a feeling you did write a rap. You have written a rap.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, therein lies the difference between you and me, Katie, in that I would have maybe wanted to write a rap, and then I would have stopped myself out of some weird, like, double backwards, like, well, I'm not, because I shouldn't.
Because you're a white guy with white guy guilt.
Without any other kind of hip hop cred in other ways. There's plenty of very, deeply pedigreed white rappers. No.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Oh, 1,000%. I'm fans of
good friends of some of us.
Yes, totally. Yeah. Exactly. But let's talk about about the fact that Katie was. Remember, I started me rapping it.
That's right.
And then we had a dialogue about, well, should it be a woman rapping this? And as soon as that idea came to my head, I was like, that's brilliant, because I've always wanted to be a ghostwriter. Number one.
Oh.
Just write for somebody else, just because it's an interesting. That is like that gives you a level up in terms of you as an author, right?
Okay.
Right.
Like as a writer, like to legitimize
like an artist taking a commission.
Yeah, to legitimize my writing as a rapper, right? Is saying, you know what, your writing is that good that you don't even have to rap it.
Yeah, that's
someone
cool.
else can rap it, and it's still going to sound really good.
That's
and
right.
That legitimized. That made me feel like I want to take this challenge on, right? Because I don't do that normally. In fact, it's faux pas. Like, or what is that the right faux pas or faux pas or faux?
It's a faux pas.
Yeah, it's a faux pas. So like everyone until Drake, everyone was really like, you don't do that. You don't have anybody else write your raps. Like that's just whack. That's like, you don't do that. But what happened is, what people don't understand is that happens all the time in the music industry.
I'm sure.
And in all the other song styles. 100%.
And all the other song styles. And the one thing about rap, the reason it was a faux pas is because when we rap, we're thinking about self-expression, right? This art form, hip hop, that I sort of am immersed in and have done for a very long time, have been a part of for a very long time, both culturally and as skill-wise, like a skill set.
Yeah.
I have always known that it's about self-expression. And so, when you see someone saying that they're expressing themselves and it's somebody else's words, there's a disconnect that as part of the hip hop community, you feel is not real. You
right.
You call it fake, or that's not what we're trying to do.
Right.
But when you look at everybody as musicians and you look at it as just music and songwriting, then I think you can sort of give yourself permission to be like, oh, okay, I see. So you're really just collaborating. You did this one thing, they did the other thing. You put it together, and that's what you're doing.
And I mean,
music.
Our thing is the perfect example of like, it all came from such good places. I mean, I think you posed the question, like, should this be a woman? Because you're a woman and it's your podcast. So like, do you want, or maybe it was me. Maybe I was like, I don't know about it. Was it me? That sounds like me.
I think you were like, I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, because I was a little, you think you're right. I was like, a dude in the song, and I'm trying to be a woman and say that, anyway. Yeah. So, but my point being that, and then you had an organic, like, oh yeah, Versol could do this.
Yeah.
And she fucking kills.
Amazing.
Killed this.
And she killed it.
Totally murdered it dead. Which brings me back to what I was saying a second ago when you were saying, like, I love hip hop. Literally my heart lights up with the joy of your joy of what you do. And also when I hear you rapping,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a 16-year-old girl. I'm like Twitter pated. I'm like, oh God. And like, if I were younger, I'd probably be confused and be like, I'm in love with Carlos. But really, it's like,
I love that the caveat is like, if I was younger.
Well, that's a good point. But the reason being, I mean, it's that thing you do when you're a young person where you're like, every artist I like, I'm in love with that person.
Yeah.
And then I don't know about you, but for me, I'm like, oh, no. I'm in love with what's coming through that person.
Yes.
And I love that person, but you don't have to turn it into romantic love if it isn't that.
Right.
You know, but we get confused on that topic a lot with artists.
Totally. I thought that I was gonna, marry Janet Jackson. I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna be, I thought I was, Cyndi Lauper was like, oh my God. I used to, these are, of course I'm dating myself now, but these are the artists when I was growing up that I, other artists too, but like, I'm just thinking of myself as someone who was attracted to women. I was just like, wow, like these are amazing women, and Whitney Houston and all of it. It was like, totally.
Well, and it's an interesting topic actually for our spiritual podcast here, which is to say that like we talk about this in like spiritual systems, right? That the divine feminine, like sometimes, I mean, okay, it is innately sexual. God is sexual. And one of the main problems with the church and with religions in general is they tried to separate the two and make one good and one bad. But when you get into working with Kundalini energy or just any energy that is rising or up leveling inside the human nervous system, it is fucking sexy. There are times where I'm in the middle of a healing session with a client and I'm like, whew, let's wrap this up because I got stuff to do now privately. Because it is so, to me, like when you're rapping, you're so in the flow of the receptivity of the divine feminine coming through you. It is sexy, and it's heat.
Yeah.
But that heat, for me, I'm like an Aquarius or a weird lady or whatever you want to fucking call it. But for me, I go, that's the sex of God right there. That's fucking God sexing its way through Carlos's face holes.
And you can use that quote on your next album release.
I was just about to say, what a way to end my next like rap video is afterwards she goes, I got stuff to do now.
Privately.
But I just think that you're totally right because, well, let's just take it to that whole thing musically. When that whole thing, the groupie thing, let's talk about that for just a quick second. Like in my experience, you don't know how many times when people say, oh, you're an MC, you're a rapper. Like 10 years ago, everyone would be like, so you got groupies? I'm like, what? Why are you asking me that? Like, first of all, I'm in the Bay with a live band. We're just trying to come up. We're barely packing our shows. We're barely getting people to come. And you're asking me if I have groupies. Really? Right. You really believe everything you see on TV? Well, here's the thing. There were, but for me, who is not like, the rock thing, you got the long hair and there's the physical aspect of you being sexy. And then there's your art that makes you sexy, right?
That's right.
And
that's right.
And that was always the case or what I felt was being reciprocated to me. What was coming to me was never like you're hot. I'm a hop your bones. It was that, but they were always like, how do you do that? I'm gonna hop your bones. Like it was like it was always like, you're exactly right. It was always like, wow, what is this? And then it was like, and I'm like, well, okay, so you're right. And then for artists, it's confusing. Like as an artist who's putting out that energy, it's confusing because then you're like, well, are you in love with? Do you like me or do you like the guy you saw on stage? And then
right.
If I can't be the guy on stage, are you gonna like? So there's that.
Yeah, and also as a healer, I get a lot of dudes, like spiritual dudes, are always like amazed by what I can do in a healing session, and I'm always, and then they start to be like, "Yeah, you're amazing. What are you doing later?" And I'm always like, "I'm busy later because you're not in love with me. You're in love with God." And I'm quite clear about that. And I'm happy for you, but let's teach you what you're actually in love with. Because when you meet me, I'm just a sassy Jew and you don't want to date me. I promise. Look at me. I'm a sassy.
If you listen to any other episode of the podcast, you'll learn that.
Come on. If we know anything at this point.
I definitely have had the experience and I finally like nailed it down at one point, and then was able to recognize it from myself. I remember watching an actor on stage in Kansas City when I was living there 20 years ago. And I don't even know if I ever met this person, but I fell in love with them. Like, I'm completely in love with this woman. And I luckily was able to like put a pin in it right at that moment and go, oh, you just are in love with someone who is like, I think you described it as like being in alignment with their truth or their art, with what they are bringing. And she was beautiful. But from that day forward, I was able to notice it. And I still do it all the time.
Yeah.
And it crosses genders, it crosses everything, where I just go, there will be a stirring in my loins. But it'll usually be more like, like I'll be watching Carlos, or I'll be watching, whoever, and I'll just go, wow, I just, oh, right, no. And it doesn't have to be like no to that. It's just,
right.
You recognize when someone is sort of speaking their truth.
You can feel it correctly eventually inside yourself and go like, wow, that energy that they're being turns me on. But that doesn't mean that Carlos and I are getting in a bed now.
Right.
Or, but then it's tricky,
or
right?
Or it doesn't mean we're not.
Right, exactly.
Let's just be clear.
Because we're in a bed right now. But people didn't know that. And we weren't going to tell you that.
Totally.
No. But my point being, it is tricky, right? Because sometimes it does mean that. Like, I was on a show a while ago and fell hard for hot and heavy land for a person. And I was like, oh, you know what this is? You know what this is? And I was like, I don't care. We're getting in the bed. And we went into the bed. And that was fucking great. But other times it's like, for me, I have to go like, okay, I notice the feelings.
Yeah.
Wait 4 days. Then I notice him again. And then I go, cool. How does he behave with his friends? And then I notice it again. And then how is he with his mom? And then I notice it again. And how does he communicate? And then I notice it again. What does he want? Is it like to fuck everybody he meets, or to fuck one lady? Like, all the whatever. So it's like sitting with the feeling before I go, who cares? Put it in me.
First of all, I love that it's lady. Fuck one lady.
Lady. Still a lady.
Still a lady.
Amazing.
Yeah. So what have you been up to, Carlos? Like COVID style, like what's keeping you busy these days? Are you working?
Yeah. So I am teaching online, still working with ACT, American Conservatory Theater, teaching their Acting for Critical Thought program, which is really cool. It's like my third year teaching that class. I work with
this adults or kids or
these are
teens
high school students who have been kicked out of other high schools and are trying to get credits to graduate.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we do, but their work is amazing because their teachers are excellent, sort of like, I almost call them like, they're teachers, but they're also like social workers. Like they're like really just, I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but they're really just deep in, they really are invested in their children's future, and and the kids that they're teaching. So they do topics like, we did one on the gold rush of San Francisco, but we compared it to the tech rush. And we did and they write the play and I direct the play. And they write everything themselves, and it's phenomenal. Like,
wow.
We've done these showcases. Pam McKinnon, who's the new artistic director of ACT, came to once she was in there, came to a couple, and that's where we connected, her and I. And that's when she came to see Telltale Hearts Telltale Hearts at Aurora Theater. And that's where we connected, and there's some discussions about trying to do something at ACT eventually. But anyway, so this is where we connected for that. So I've been teaching. And
did you get to direct one of those shows, but it's on Zoom?
Oh no. That's the next one. This one will be the first one that's on Zoom. Yes, I will be directing it. I've directed I've directed the past 3 of them. So it's just great. It's just a great, it's cool. Like, it's also good as an actor to get a directing experience, I love directing, and I've directed at Cal State East Bay, their freshman class, for one of their productions, but it's really cool as an actor to get to be on that side of it and direct.
For sure.
And learn how to do that process and all that stuff. So yeah, so I'm also doing Telltale Hearts online through the Bay Area Theater Cypher. So the Bay Area Theater Cypher is a group of actors, rappers, the requirement is if you're in the cipher is that you're equally a rapper as much as you're equally an actor. Not someone who's like, I act, but I can kind of rap. It's more like you really love both. It's what you do. And there's a lot of artists like that. So we have a good amount of folks in there. Phil Wong and Dan Wolf are the ones who started that. And so, but Dan and I, of course, know each other from Felonious, and we've had a long history. So he just pulled me in there. And so we've been doing great. Like the shows, we've been doing online shows. We've been doing online presentations, online ciphers, online conversations. We did a conversation on Hamilton, which was a really big deal. We got a lot of people in there. And it was a big, one of those controversial, like, okay, who's going to, and I'm the person who's like, I think right now my mouth is really ready to go in a way that I've been waiting for a long time. I don't think people have been prepared for hearing the truth the way they hopefully are now, because I've been hiding myself and I've been playing the game that they teach us to play in theater.
Right.
When it comes to quote unquote networking, which to me just tells me as a brown person, you need to speak white.
That's right.
That's
right.
Everything. That's all that I heard and hear is, well, we're not going to, you got a lot of talent. So we'll have you go up. We'll have someone speak before you, but you're only going to beatbox at this fundraiser. We don't want to hear you speak. We don't want to hear you. I've never been asked to be the head or the face of some kind of
voice, right?
A voice. Yeah. A voice. Right. I've always been the skill guy. You'll come in and do your beatbox. You'll come in and do your rap. You'll come in and do a monologue, but you're just the actor. Okay. Get away. You're just the musician. Get out of here. And the truth is without us, there is no art. You can do an entire play at Cal Shakes with just the lighting and some costumes on the floor, but I don't think a lot of people gonna watch that. So, so I think, and I'm not trying to say we're more important. I'm just saying we are the art, and that's okay. That's
you
okay.
Mean, and by we, you mean actors,
doers, the performers, the people who rehearse, the people who work on their skill sets to be on stage, the people who put in the work and do those crazy regional theater shows where you're doing 7-8 shows a week, whatever. That's the work, right? So I think we need to speak up more in that context more. I'm no longer gonna. I hope people know, we're done with all that stuff. Like, you're not gonna punk me anymore because you're the director. I'm never gonna let a director talk down to me, raise their voice at me, yell at me, tell me somehow I'm not good enough. None of that is ever going to happen again. There's no hierarchy anymore. We're the same. I'm not going to go into ACT or Aurora or anybody and go, oh, I'm just lucky to be here. Never.
Yeah,
never that.
Yeah.
I'm done with all that. I'm done with the hierarchy. I'm done. Completely finished. So that's it.
Rock on. Now that reminds me of something I saw you post on Facebook. If you don't mind, I'd love to quote you, and you can correct me if I remember it incorrectly. But I think there was a day when things were really just starting to really like heat up in the Bay Area with the riots and the looting and just whatever at the beginning of George Floyd moment.
Yes.
I saw you post, and I have to tell you, it did something powerful for me. I'm just a white lady, but I am a woman, and that is a thing that isn't a white man. I'm just going to say it's not the same. It's nowhere near the same. It's so not the same. And you did something even for me. You posted, it was like a 1-sentence line, and you said, the Bay Area theater community is racist. There, I said it. Or something like that. Yeah. And I have to tell you, I was like, one, you ballsy, badass motherfucker, because go you, because you're doing the thing that actors, right? Race or not race aside, actors are constantly disempowering themselves, as you're talking about here, and being like, well, I'll just toe the whatever fucking party line of whatever, just to make sure I can get fucking cast.
Yep.
Which has driven me crazy for fucking decades. And I hate it. It's why people go back to shitty theater companies, and they get treated terribly because they just want to work. And I understand, but I also don't like it. It's not my personal preference. It makes me mad. Now, add to that, you're a brown man.
Yeah.
I can only begin to imagine what you have been through, barely. And when you posted that, I was like, he just put his own fucking everything on the line for the sake of everyone else who is not yet saying it out loud.
Yeah.
And when you said it out loud, you spoke for all your people, and maybe you don't know, and maybe it's not relevant, but you spoke for me too.
Yeah.
As a woman who's like strong and has a voice, and God fucking forbid you're a strong fucking woman in the fucking world.
Right.
Because people don't fucking like it.
Right.
They want you to be little and sweet and pretty and just wear the dress and say the pretty words. And I go, fuck you. I want to play the guy role because that's how I fucking talk.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's my rant about it. Can you tell us a little bit about like what happened for you that day? What got you to that place? How was that for you? What's come of it for you, et cetera, anything?
I have been feeling that way since 1997 when I first got here. Like, I didn't know this, but after the killing of the murder of George Floyd, I was triggered. I probably don't realize how much I've hid away to protect my career, my standing. You know, when you're up and coming and trying to get a foot in, you're scared to tell people the truth. I didn't like the way you made me feel when I walked into your audition. I didn't like the way everyone that greeted me was white. I didn't like the way you're afraid to say that. And I think I'm tired, like just really exhausted for carrying something that I didn't want to carry and didn't know that when you don't get rid of it, it gets heavier. And this process has been a lot of triggering. I couldn't go in the streets. I know I was going to be the one yelling the loudest and getting arrested. I know that because they look at me and I look dangerous. I'm a Latino man with a shaved head. And if I yell and get upset, I'm dangerous. I'm the typical version of that guy's dangerous. And I don't want to be looked at as dangerous. I want to be looked at as the truth, telling the truth. Right. And so that for me was it was like, I'm tired. I have nothing to lose. Here's the thing. I have nothing to lose. I am not being constantly cast. I'm not the guy that everyone is casting at ACT. I am not the actor who goes to TBAs and wins awards. I am not that guy. I want those people to speak up. I want them to put themselves on the line. It's easy for me to write a Facebook post. I'm not getting cast all the time. I don't care. I'll make my own theater, and I'm doing that right now. I'm making my own theater. I don't need these big theaters. But to the people, and I don't know if this is right to say, but to the Catherine Castellanas, to the people, to the Saritas, to the people who are going on these stages and getting into over there in Ashland, my bad, Ashland. Those are the people who need to say, I'm not doing your plays anymore. Because really the truth is they're making tokens out of those people. Because why should we all be fighting for one role? Why are we all fighting? Why do I got to battle the only other Mexican for roles every other time? Why is it always me or him, me or him, me or him, me or him? Why? That it's just a tiring practice of the small imaginations of these theater companies that can't, where's the Latino talent? Well, look around. Like, why should we have to, we're already being pushed back. Why should we be the ones to be like, get out of my way. I need my shot. You should be looking for us because the work has been, you know what I mean? And that's the thing. People don't want to flip it like that. And that's what I'm going to do this whole next movement when we get back into an actual place and we're actually able to share space and we're actually to be in front of people. I don't know if people want to hire Carlos Aguirre to be in their play because I'm not going to sit down. I'm not going to just play along like we've been playing. It's going to be different. The power is equal. And if you're not going to treat it like that, I'm going to speak up about it. So I think we need to understand that when you take a role that it makes you feel good and you think you're being representing, you need to understand that there's a whole group of people that you're not helping by not saying anything or by not like speaking up or by not refusing a role. Like, what a powerful thing to do to say, wait, it's only me and everybody else is white You don't think you have the imagination to cast a couple other brown people? What is your play about? Oh, where are you doing it? Oh, for those people, you know what? I'm good.
Right.
You know, so I think it's just about, you know, it's really about like having the balls to execute your own career. And what are you willing to lose?
That's the thing. That's the thing. And so many people are not willing to lose, or I should say, haven't been willing to lose anything for in the name of any of it. And I can understand that. It's just I can't condone it. I can't support it. Right. You know, we were just talking before you came on about hold on, this dog is come up here. If you're gonna bother me, you gotta come on the lap. No? It's Carlos.
This happens in every episode. It's
an important part
of the episode.
He's very important.
He is. And I don't say that with sarcasm. I say that with truth. Very important that we have at least one conversation with the dog. With
Squeezel. It's very important. Yeah. So, yeah, we were talking about how me coming out here to Colorado and just being like, wow, I like walked up to the guy who owns the huge, gorgeous opera house. And I was like, I would like to direct a show here. When is that possible? And he was like, oh. And I said, I will put money down now and hold the space. Because in my own way, that isn't as much about race for me. I haven't had to struggle with that. I've had to struggle with other shit. Yeah. In my own way, I'm going like, yeah. I don't give a fuck where I have to go. I was talking to someone in a Bijingo gig, actually. Have you all done Bijingo? It's a Bay Area gig that a lot of actors do, corporate training for Visa and Cisco, and we teach them how to do difficult feedback conversations, and they hire actors to play. Latino man in Miami, and which is where I'm from originally, was on the gig with me, and we started to talk. I was like, 305, you're from Miami. And we're like, yeah, Miami. We hit it off, whatever we're talking. And I said something like, well, you know, we're talking about theater. Well, I'm in Colorado now. And I'm, you know, hey man, I'm not in California anymore, but I'm going to make theater. And I found this theater and I'm rent 300 seats and I'm going to put up a show and I'm doing it. And I have all this energy to do it. And I'm excited because there's no weird external, like, you're not cool or you're not the kind of woman we want representing our fill in the blank. You always have to wear some kind of dress that I don't own one of, or the shoes. And I don't know, sexy, cute. I don't fucking know what you have to be to do a thing, but I don't have to do that here. And this guy said on the job, just my new buddy, who's like, happens to be from Miami and happens to be Latino. He was like, yeah, we got to destroy. He goes, Colorado is everything. Here's why. We got to destroy this East Coast, West Coast binary bullshit. It's part of the binary structure that we're talking about here, even with what you're talking about. To me, from a spiritual perspective, all of this is right, wrong, good, bad, up, down, black, white, man, woman, binary. And binary, whenever you set anything into a polarity or a binary, as if there's this thing and then it's opposite and that's all there is, you cut out everything in the fucking middle, which is most things. Most things are somewhere between the two poles. Your brownness, my weirdness, Cassidy not being the dude, but being like a nice-hearted man, whatever. There's 9 people on the two poles and the whole structure is built on the two poles. It's such horse fucking shit.
It's I use the metaphor of the well, I don't call it the justice system. I call it the revenge system, which is that the law is black and white. Where is the fucking gray? Sorry for my language.
No, but are you kidding me?
Have you heard me say words? Come on.
Where's the fucking gray?
Where's the gray? Like these laws that are being used right now, even in Breonna Taylor's case. It's like, where is the gray? Like, you can't just say, well, technically they fall under this bracket, so they're legal. They're totally legal to shoot someone in their bed while they're asleep because they fall under this bracket. But no, what about the gray area? What about the areas that we can't apply perfectly to law? What happens in law is they share most of the qualities of this bracket. So they'll go under this one, as opposed to being like, no, we need a new fucking bracket.
That's it. And when you posted that one sentence Facebook post, to me, what you're doing with that, it could seem small to some people. That did not seem small to me, because you're saying what you just said by posting that. You're going, you know what? I'm sorry. The brackets are dumb and they're limited and they only allow for teeny tiny things. And I got to tell you, another thing it did, and all of this stuff that's been happening in the Bay Area, and we're talking about the Bay Area specifically, people listening, because that's where we're all from and we know that area. I know that we're speaking, it's bigger than just the Bay Area. But the Bay, but you're talking what you did and what a number of people have done in this time is force liberal white folks who think we're not racist.
Because we're in the Bay Area.
And or because I have brown friends, or because I think I was raised by liberal white people. You're forcing us to look, and I don't say force like in an aggressive way, but by standing up for yourself, you make us take accountability for the ways that we have been passively upholding the systemic racism. That is the whole fucking thing. Like we've seen it with all these different companies coming out and being like, actually, thank you for that. Because good, whoops, good point.
Yeah.
Right. And so
you posted that right around the same time. And I don't think it was necessarily a response to it. It might have even helped give rise to it, was the whole We See You White American Theater manifesto that occurred. Yeah. We See You what, and like, I'm wondering if the COVID pause, if the COVID pause, as horrifying as it has been and devastating, but that one of the little side trickles has by the way, while you're on pause, while we sent you to your room to think about what you've fucking done, here's some reading material to think about what you've fucking done, White American Theater.
Yes.
Here, deal with this.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Part of the problem, I think, is one of the aspects of white supremacy is urgency. The concept of urgency, false urgency. I was reading about
false urgency, yes.
And I think it's that, like, when we're producing theater, there's an urgency. We got to get it done. We don't have enough money. Totally. So I'm going to push you around. I'm going to yell at you. And it's okay because we're making theater.
Yep.
We tried to find another person of color, but we couldn't, but we didn't have enough time. So sorry, we did our best.
Yep.
All that shit.
Yep.
All that urgency. Okay, guess what? Stop. You're doing nothing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now fucking fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have the urgency excuse now.
Yes.
That's good. That's and that's a spiritual healing concept on all levels, by the way, as we teach, like in 12-step, they say, if anything that feels urgent isn't. Meaning, if you are like, I got to call that guy right now. If you wait a day and a half until that energy is out of your body of the the compulsivity, you're going to have a very different conversation with that guy because you're going to be centered and calm, and you're going to come from like, I'm good. Hi, how are you? Rather than, hey, that intensity that comes from that urgency. So it's cool to apply that to this conversation.
I want to say that sounds like what what I try to do with like any sort of habits that I have.
Yeah.
The urgency, I need to do that right now.
Right.
But you know what? Maybe let's just wait a day.
That's right.
And then the next day you're like, oh, I don't need it as bad as I did yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday I really needed a drink, or yesterday I really needed to, smoke some weed, or yesterday whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you wait a day and you're like, wow, that's impressive. Like, I don't need it as much. Damn. You wait 2 days and you're chilling.
Yeah.
So I hear you.
Yeah, totally. Or in that time there, you give yourself the opportunity to examine the impulse. Yeah. You can go, oh, I have to write that theater director back right now to make sure I get the job.
Yeah.
And then I've had so many experiences where I'll be like, I'm not acting from urgency. And then 2 days go by and I'm at some show and that person is at that show and we have an organic conversation and it goes way better than it could have gone.
Yes.
If I had urgently sent the like, happy email that was going to be weird anyway. So it can give us time to examine the impulse. Like, where's it coming from? Like, what's the motivation for this?
Yeah, that's choice? What I wanted to delineate between like truly urgent things, like the urgency of dismantling rape culture. That's urgent.
Yeah.
The urgency of, stopping the murder of Black men. Like that is urgent. That is actually urgent. And when I say urgency as like an excuse or as a driving spiritual force, and I think that's the difference. Like what you're saying is like within oneself, there's an urgency, which is like, really? Is it? Or in theater, we've created a system which demands urgency.
Right.
Because it is a starvation economy.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a capitalist Eurocentric, let's go back, conqueror, mentality. I mean, this is the same thing that happens in theater, of the whole like competition thing of like, oh, it's cutthroat. Like only, I remember going to the Hamilton auditions. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? That was like stupid. I was like, wait a minute, time out. There are 10 of us signed up to go at 10:35. Wait, I don't get my own time slot. I'm looped in with 10 other people at 10:35. So I'm going to sit in a chair right next to the door that everyone's going in and out of auditioning, and you're just waiting in line, and you're hearing everybody's audition. You're hearing those motherfuckers sing their asses off, and you're going, how the hell am I going to do that? And then you're supposed to go in and rock an audition. And all of this, no one says anything about.
Right.
It's just what your meat, your cattle. Just get in there, just go. We're trying to get done. We got other cities to go to. I think they were called. Who's the casting company that did that?
I don't remember.
Was it Tesla?
Yes. Yep. And you just feel so like. But then everyone's like, "That's just the way it is," and I'm just like,
"That's just the way.
That's not my way. That's not our way. That's not Native Americans people's way. That's not indigenous people's ways. We don't treat people like that."
Carlos, I'm trying to remember. Were you in Lily's Revenge? Yes. And I remember because I got called in for that, and that was a unique process.
Yeah.
He did, I mean, the whole show was unique, but like, I don't know what your experience was, but what he did is he just came to town. What's his name?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Well, think of it in a sec. Taylor Mack.
Okay.
So Taylor Mack creates wild, different theater.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
He's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. And came to town and said, okay, gather all the interesting people and make 10-minute interview slots for them, not auditions. And you went into the room and you just sat down with them.
Yep.
You just fucking talked to him.
Huh. Wow.
And I want to honor that I'm actually not sure that he, him are his pronouns.
Right, sure.
But I also know that they are not they. So I'm not sure.
Got it. Yeah.
But my point is Taylor was like, come in, sit down. And we just talked. It's like, I just want to know what kind of energy I'm getting from you, what you might bring to the table. I'm going to assume you have the requisite skills.
Yes.
Based on, talking to the casting director, talking to the community people.
Yes.
You've already been vetted. I'm not fucking worrying about your skills.
Right.
What I want to know is what energy you bring into the room. And there are still some faults in that. There's still a gatekeeper aspect to what happened there. But that was so refreshing to just be like, do we want to create art together or don't we?
Right.
I love that. I really liked that process. And that's what endeared me to Taylor Mack in general. I was like, oh, wait, if you're doing it like this from the ground up before we even get into the room, you're a cool dude. I like you. So it was cool. It was very cool. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. That on the topic of from a second ago, did you, when you posted that, I'm back on this Facebook post because I love that so much.
I'm with it.
When you posted that, I didn't read the responses. What did you hear from people?
Well, you know what I say? I say the comment section is a pile of shit.
Yeah.
That no one should ever try to like
wade their way through.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And no one should ever I said nothing really ever gets solved in the comment section. That's what I said.
Yeah.
So you can debate, you can have your points, you can post your facts versus their facts. To me, it's 2020. Let's just call it what it is. The truth is objective. I hate to say that because it's not real. The truth is the truth. Science is science. But now with algorithms and Facebook, and they have shifted it so that you can honestly say now the truth is objective, which is really weird. Like because look, guys.
I'm sorry, but do you mean subjective in this case? I'm not to correct, but I think just for clarification, you're saying that
because I'm looking at your faces and I'm going, wait, they're not getting
it's fungible, right?
Yes, it's subjective,
messy.
It's subjective, which means to each person, right? Subjective, right?
Right.
So yes, so objective would be more like I'm not taking.
It is the truth or it isn't. That's it.
It is the truth or it isn't. So thank you so much. So you'll have to delete that. All right, but objective, subjective. To think that now people will say, I don't need to wear a mask because that's not my truth. It's just weird to me.
So you didn't read the comments is what you're saying.
Here's the truth. Most of the comments were supportive.
Uh-huh.
Most of the comments echoed what I said.
Yeah.
I think there was one comment that said something like, I don't know if it was that one. It might have been a different post, but I said rant over, like, you know, when you write rant over.
Mm-hmm.
And someone was like, do you feel better now? But here's the thing. Have you guys ever seen that Key and Peele episode with the texting where they're texting each other and they take it the wrong way?
No.
Yes.
Okay, so like, you know how you can text someone like say Katie's like, hey, want to come on the podcast? And I'm like, sure.
Right.
She could be like, is he mad at me? Because
sure.
he put a period at the end of sure.
Why not? Yes, for sure. I'm down. What do you mean just sure? Oh, you know what? We'll find the never mind. She might text back, right? And it's all this misunderstanding. And so I think that happens sometimes. And so I jumped on someone when they were like, feel better now? Because that's how I heard it in my head.
Oh.
But they were like, no, honestly, doesn't it feel good to get it out?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So there's some of that happens in the comment section. But for that post, no, I didn't get a lot of backlash because here's the truth. If it's the truth, what you going to say? What are you going to write in the comment section?
Well, dude, there's a lot of crazy people in the world who write a lot of crazy things.
I know, but specifically when you're in the Bay Area theater scene, I'm talking to you.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking to you. So if you're in the Bay Area theater scene and you got something to write in that comment section, what are you going to say?
Not as bad as Kentucky.
Right. Right.
Not my point. My point is the Bay Area theater scene is racist.
Exactly. So I didn't get, so that's what I mean. When you just say something like that, you don't leave it open for a lot of wiggle room. You just say it like it is, right, Katie? Just say it. You know, it is racist. So not like, hey, I have felt racism sometimes when I'm doing theater here, right? Not that, right? Just a statement. And I think that's what people are like, either yes, I believe in that. I don't quite believe in that, but I don't got nothing to say because, you know what I mean?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm really glad to hear that people were supportive. I would have expected a bunch of idiot reactive people to say, well, but, you know, I don't know, whatever they would have fucking
said. Totally. That's what I mean. Just imagine. You can't even imagine a defense. Like you're at a loss for words to try to, what would they say? It's true. What would they say? You would say, well, no, you can't. You can't. You can't.
Marin Theater Company does a lot of black
Lance
plays.
Gardner being cast at Berkeley Rep. Only Lance Gardner? Like
that's it.
It's just, these are great actors. These are great people, but that's not my point. My point is like there's room for everybody, and there should be way more people getting opportunities instead of the same light-skinned brother getting cast over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna call it what it is.
Well, that's what we're here for. So do it. Yeah. There's a lot here.
Look, we could talk for hours, but I do want to just put the little, if we want to do a reading, we should do it soon.
Yeah. So
we've been here for like an hour and a half.
How much time do you have, Carlos? Do you have another half hour? And Cassidy and Desmond, do you have another half hour? Carlos?
I have a half hour, but I'm scared of your readings. I'm just going to tell you because I don't know. It's that I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm really open. Like there's not going to be any walls for you to find stuff. It's going to be there. So for me, I feel like, it would be interesting.
So first of all, you know, Carlos, or I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to any episodes, but you get to ask whatever you want to ask.
Mm-hmm.
If information comes through, I'll always ask you if you want it. Like if something comes through without you asking, because sometimes right when I open the records of a person, I get information or energy that wants to be delivered to you.
Yeah.
So I'll say, okay, there's some information here. Do you want to hear it? Or do you want to start with your questions? And you can always say no.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah.
But then from there, it'll all just be stuff that you ask that you want to know.
I see.
So it won't just be me being like, and you're going to die when you're 39. I'm not, it's
6 years ago. I would have died 6 years.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you something, Katie.
Yeah.
Do you feel any responsibility for this work?
Yeah, a fuck ton.
Do you think it's okay? This is really a question.
I know.
Do you think it's okay to look through people's stuff and then just like, see you later?
Yeah. If they ask me and they want to know, then yes. And then I'm not sure I know what you mean by see you later though.
For instance.
Yeah.
You give me some information or I ask something and we're off of this call in 30 minutes. You're not here. You're not going to come give me a hug. You're in Colorado. So like is there any sense of responsibility with the sense of information that you're passing?
I mean, yes and no. It's complicated. That would be like saying to a therapist, hey, therapist, if you say something that makes me realize something new about myself, do you feel any responsibility for how I'm going to feel later tonight?
Yeah.
And as a human being, I care about how you're going to feel, but I can't take responsibility for it because I can't fix you and I can't save you.
Yeah. And that's the part that bothers me.
Tell me more. What do you mean?
Like, it's like if we're sitting, it's like the difference between drama therapy and real therapy. In drama therapy, I'm not going to let you play with my demons or like do stuff with my stuff. But in this particular case, there is nothing. There is just the stuff you expose or the stuff that you see, right? And remember, this is really an honest question. Like I've never done this before. So I'm just asking you from a purely layman's point of view.
Have you listened to the podcast?
I have, but I'm not sure that I feel like because of what's going on right now with what I am carrying, that it's heavy. And and that it's a big responsibility for you and for me to unpack it in this way.
Okay.
And I think like, I'm not sure that that's resonating with what I want.
And what is it that you want?
Nothing.
Okay.
Like what I want is I want to be healthy.
Uh-huh.
You know.
What are you afraid is going to happen here, Carlos? You're going to fall apart and have no support after? I'm going to say something to you that you can't deal with later?
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so then my question would be to you, like, do you have people in your life who you can lean on if something intense comes up?
Not really. I have my girlfriend who's amazing, and yes, I can lean on her.
Yeah.
But everything is social distancing right now. I'm a very like a sense person. Like I need touch, and like I'm that's my love language. Affection. And so I don't know if I have the capacity. Capacity. Sorry,
it's come up before.
If I don't have the capacity right this moment at 7 p.m., I will be in a Zoom rehearsal for The Box, a play about solitary confinement that I've been rehearsing for the past week. And I'm playing the role of Victor, which is the role I've done before, which is really intense, and it requires all of my facilities. If we unpack something right now,
right,
I'm just like,
that's fair.
So I feel like
that's fair.
I want to do it with you, Katie, off of this platform.
Sure. Listen, A, thank you for being honest. Fucking yeah. B, anytime. Just book it. Get on the website. Book that shit. See, Carlos, like, I think I understand what you were asking before when you say, do you feel any responsibility? I was like, I don't quite know what you're asking. If I took responsibility for every client I talked to's pain, I wouldn't have a life.
Yeah.
Like I can't take responsibility for your pain. And I'm pretty good. I'm pretty boundaried about that. But what I do is in the session, if there's pain, my job is to facilitate its transmutation. It's to clear it. I pull pain out. I pull suffering.
Which can be painful.
100%. You are correct. So I think you're wise to take care of yourself. If you have like a rehearsal and a thing and now's not the moment, then fuck it. There's no need to fucking wrench your soul open. Also, I hear you saying quite clearly, like, I'm a sensitive motherfucker. This will blow me open. I know my own boundaries.
Yes.
I don't need to be blown open right now. Thank you very much.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm responding to Cassidy's idea about urgency. We don't have to do it right. Like it doesn't have to happen right this second. But I do feel like you and I will have a conversation. I'm also clearing some stuff out right now.
Uh-huh.
Within myself, both physically, spiritually, mentally. And I would love to sit down with you maybe after because I feel like that's a good.
But you get that the work I do clears it out.
Yes, I do. And what I'm saying is let me do some of that myself, and then you get the scraps that are remaining. There's going to be some shit. There's always going to be some shit.
Sure.
I want to acknowledge something that I love, and that is what you just said about urgency. And like, this podcast is based on a structure because that's just a fun structure. But what I love is the idea of being able to always be present and honest to whatever is.
Yeah.
And right now, you just brought out something that is incredibly helpful to any listener also.
Yeah,
I just want to thank you for that. And deeply important that you be able to go like, hey, by the way, this isn't a fucking parlor game.
Yeah.
Just because we're doing a podcast, which is fun, and we joke about shit, and we talk about shit, and we do important work on the podcast, and then we put it out as entertainment and important healing for people, but it ain't no parlor game. It's not just like, yay, sure, let's open it up. It's real. No.
I think it speaks to my fear.
Yeah.
That's what we've been talking about.
Which is my biggest fear, which is my fear of death. And I think I don't want to hear, so basically Katie and I had a conversation on the phone about something that's pretty powerful. And it's pretty much I don't know if maybe I shouldn't say too much, but it's the reason, let's just say that you sent me a text, and the next time you sent me a text, you were in Colorado. Let's just put it that way. And I was very moved. I was like, oh, so she really believes what she just told me.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Uh-huh.
Because
he's talking about Gern Blanston.
The Gern Blanston issue.
It's one thing to be like, hey, this is what I believe, but you know what? It's all good. I'm just going to maneuver. Oh, no, she done moved. So I was like, oh, shit. I looked over at my girlfriend. I was like, oh, shit. We got to get out of here. So that's the first thing I said. But I think ultimately what I'm trying to say is, you're powerful. I respect that. Mm-hmm. I think I'm aware of that. And I'm playing the role of well, can I go later? Because I know you're powerful. And I really do believe that. First of all, I believe women are extremely powerful. I believe that.
Namaste, brother.
That's just one aspect of it.
Yeah.
Secondly, deeply spiritual people, the way that, Katie, let's just be candid. The way that we talk on the phone is it's very open. It's just brrr, the texting.
Soul to soul.
It's soul to soul. It's just brrr. So I think I feel good telling you this truth, telling you what I think. It's not like a knock on you or any judgment. It actually came to me in the moment. Whoa, am I ready to do this? Oh, why am I not? Oh, that's why. And so I just wanted to express that.
So glad you did. Yeah. Total respect. I got no need to push it. Why would I push it?
Yeah.
There's no need. I'll be here when you want it.
Yeah, totally. That's what I...
And like Cassidy said, this is a great, for our listeners, people get to hear someone have a fucking boundary and it go well.
Right.
Can I just say, do you know how many human beings, men, women, black, brown, non-binary, sexual, human mammals are so afraid to fucking say no?
Yeah.
Or to just say hey, could I go last? Or I can't, not today.
Yeah.
It's people are so afraid to offend other people, which is really a fear that that person is not an adult and is going to personalize it and take it personally, which I say, if a person is triggered by your having a boundary, that is on them.
Yeah.
And really, I've internalized that all the way to the base of my spine. So to me, I mean, there's 0% of me that's got a feeling about it. I got no feelings. I'm just oh, Carlos doesn't want to do it today. Sweet.
Yeah.
Have a peace. Love you. Text you later. I got nothing.
Yeah.
Except mad love and respect for whatever you need. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say that this reminds me of something that I might experience with Indigenous elders. There's a process that is very in person, over Zoom or just over this conversation over phone. It's scarier to me.
Also recorded for public consumption. That's another whole other thing.
Yeah, that's another whole other thing. But it would be interesting to be in a place where I could look at you and I could cry about it, and you could be like, but this is what it means. And we could really, and I also don't think that it's negative. I actually think you're helping me, like right now, just by having this conversation, understand that I am sensitive and it's okay. And I think what happens is I'm really big into the law of attraction, and I'm worried that whatever we speak about, if it's something that I don't want to hear, maybe I'll run it over in my head too many times.
And create
I'm very
it.
much,
That's real.
Yes.
That's really, really real.
Yeah. And I just love my life. I love my daughter. I'm, if anything, I would have a reading about my daughter, like my connection to my daughter, my connection to that, because I'm always in my head. I'm always like self this and self that. And it's like exhausting. And it's just nice to be like, no, I want to care about somebody else, because it's like,
you get sick of yourself at a certain point. Yeah.
And your own psychosis, your own like thing you do, like, oh, Carlos, how come you're still doing this? You're how old now, and you've been doing this for 20? You're still doing that? Stop it. Obviously, stop it doesn't work, because keep going. So I'm just learning, but I think maybe you could help me stop some of these things. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, when the time is right, we will do it. I mean,
basically,
here.
It's just about like, I have a daughter. I want to live long. Tell me the secret. That's it.
To living long? Well, we could see what the record keepers have to say to you.
See, that's what I'm saying. See, that's what I'm saying. Because then it's going to be like, well, Carlos, it turns out there's no point in worrying about that, because you're not.
Listen, I'm not going to lie to you.
I know.
We don't know what we would hear. And so if you can't handle the truth,
I can't.
Don't ask. It's good.
I can't handle it.
I love it.
Because it could be good.
Everything you've said in the last 10 minutes was the entire, or 15 minutes even, was my entire hour prior to coming on the podcast was my therapy. I was with my therapist online. And I feel like you're just replaying my therapy session. And I just want to acknowledge that. Like how deeply, I have tears like right here, just like, I'm feeling everything you have said in the last 15 minutes so strongly.
Yeah.
In terms of, I want to understand that better, Cass.
Oh, like just fear of feeling, of walking into a thing that then you can't control, that you now don't have control over, and letting go into that. Like, shit, now I'm in the wave. That's my version of that. But so that I heard that in what you were saying.
Yes.
And that's what I took it as. Your oh shit, what was the other thing? It was something very important that you just said a minute ago.
The thing of like, if you don't want to know the truth, don't ask?
Not so much. Oh, yeah. It just, like, I've been afraid to feel things lately, and I realize the reason is because if I feel them, then I'm acknowledging 100% the truth of them.
Right.
Oh.
I'm afraid to start feeling anger and rage around all the political and social upheaval that is occurring, because the moment I actually start to feel it, then I'm admitting that it's 100% true.
That it's happening.
That it is, that I can't hold it at bay anymore. And that is terrifying.
Yeah.
And like, so to know the truth, sometimes it's like, can I have 60% of the truth? Is that enough for now?
It's the survival.
And I'm placing judgment on that feeling, and I'm trying to get through that. But I just want to acknowledge how deeply that fear of opening up or walking into, that's fucking real.
It's
so
a survival mechanism, especially as a brown person navigating through this world where, like, I'm told not, my feelings don't matter. You can't be weak. All the things that they tell like male Latino men, like, you can't be weak. You got to be strong. You got to be this. You got to be that. You got to be the person who goes out and makes the money. You got to be this. You got to be that. And I think what I'm trying to say is I believe Katie. Like, I believe you. Like, I believe you that you can do what you say and that you have done it. Mm-hmm. And that tells me that I need to be like careful in a good way, because I really don't know. Like, it could really be you being like, actually, your records say you're doing awesome and you're going to be awesome for 50 more years, dude. You're good to go. Like, that's what I want to hear.
Sure.
I want you to be like, dude, this little stuff you're tripping on in a year, you're not even going to be thinking about it. Get over it. Your life is amazing.
Yeah.
But guess what? That's what I'm going to make my reality, regardless of what I think you might think.
Sure. To be clear, none of this has anything to do with what I think. It has to do with what comes through me.
Right. Yes. Excuse me.
No, that's okay. I always just like to make that point because people oftentimes give me credit for stuff that I'm like, nah.
Okay.
I can hear them talk. I have that ability. I can be open and receive information.
Okay.
Then there are moments where they tell me to talk, They go, Katie, tell the story about the time that you blah, 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 because that's a wisdom teaching that this person needs. And I do my very best to, in the moment, say, okay, now they want me to tell you a story about me or a story about life from my personal wisdom experience.
Got it.
So it's a weird thing that I do. I mean, because it's weird to me, even when I'm doing it, I'm like, okay, I'll give you an example. I teach this class on Sundays, right? And it's, there's 10 people in it or 13 or some amount of people. And we'll wrap up in a minute here. And we meet on Zoom and they're in different parts of the world. And I channel a healing for the group. So I bring big, strong energy through at the beginning, through the group records into the body, being, soul, spirit of all the people on that call. Then it completes. And during that half hour or hour that we're doing the healing, people are crying and some people are bent over and some people go to a different dimension and some people, their right ear starts to ring. All kinds of shit goes on. Wow. And it's very intense and very real. And then the second hour of class is people going like, okay, so what happened for me was, and now I need to know, do I call my mother again? Because I went to my past life and I saw, or like, I'm crying and my back hurts, or wow, that was amazing. I feel like 500 pounds later, I'm not upset with my dad anymore. Like what? So all kinds of shit goes on. But my point being, when they're asking me stuff, right, in the second half of class, in this context, I'm sitting in their records, meaning I'm in alignment with each person on that call's soul and their soul's connection to God. So in that space, the record keepers or the beings of light that are emanations of God in that space, I'm like, okay, so let's say Chelsea is asking a question. I'm going, okay, Chelsea's record keepers, and I feel them right here, right up and down through my midline. But sometimes I feel them over here. It can be different. And they're saying things through my mouth, but I'm quite clear when it's from them to her and when they're saying to me like, yeah, now you talk. But all of it's happening in the same body. And I don't leave I'm not like the kind of channel who leaves their body. I'm right here. I'm in the room. I'm watching the whole thing. I'm aware of everything. Anyway, it's very weird for me is what I'm trying to say too, to be like, I can perceive when the light is talking. And if you listen to a bunch of the episodes on here, you'll hear my voice change. It's fucking crazy. And then when I'm channeling and it's them talking for a while, that's when I don't even remember what I have said because I really am like really in a different space. And so it's all over the place and it's wild. But my point being for what you're saying is that like, it's, Cassidy's right. It's not a small thing. You're right. It's not a small thing. We're going to talk directly to God. They usually tell you you're crazy if you think you can do that. And they killed Joan of Arc because of it. And you're supposed to need a priest, I guess, to whatever the fuck those guys know. But my point being, it's fucking intense. So you're right to have hesitation if you have it.
You got to remember one of the first times we met, Katie, you were at Stage Right and they asked you to lead an exercise. And I remember you did this thing and I was like, what the hell is going on right now?
What did I do?
and you did something about healing, about like letting go of a certain part of a thing in your body. And you did this body check, this whole thing that I had never heard or, whatever. And so I was kind of like, this is weird. This is crazy. And it wasn't a theater game. It wasn't like something we had known in theater.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. You brought this really specific information that you, like a thing that you did. I have to say, out of all of that, there was one thing that resonated really strongly with me, because a lot of it I was kind of like, what is this? Like, whoa, this is crazy. Okay. And then when you left, I was like, did anything just happen, or was that just weird? I don't know. I have no idea. But you said, that thing that you have that's bothering you, it's not yours. It's not yours.
We were just talking about that before you came on.
This happens every episode.
It's not yours. Episode. It's not yours. You don't need to hold on to that. That's somebody else's that you're holding on. And I have to say, you're going to like this, Katie. I say that when I pray, and it only comes from you, from your knowledge of that. I say that when I pray. I say to myself, if I'm going through something or feeling something, I'll be like, nah, that's not yours. You don't need to hold that. That's not. And I've just been using it.
That's great.
So you did that, and that's powerful.
Thank you.
That's so amazing. I can't wait for you to listen to this episode and hear that story that literally I told the moment before you got on.
Oh,
it's on that exact topic. And this happens every fucking episode. We'll talk about whatever. And then the guest comes on, and that's what comes up through them. It's wild.
That's a beautiful story, though. Thank you, Carlos.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
I wish I knew which exercise I did. I wish I knew what you were talking about, what I did. Did I make them do the expansion exercise? Did we expand?
So. Yeah. Okay. That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Yeah.
Well, Carlos, thank you for being here. Like, you're the freaking best. And what I was gonna do to make you really uncomfortable is I was gonna beg you to like freestyle for us or to rap for us. But then I was like, oh, you can't do that. Damn it. But like my dream, people should just go to Emcee Infinite on Instagram and all the places.
Ats. What are they?
Yeah, what are they?
So I'm at Emcee Infinite, and that's EMCEE, like the real spelling for MC, right? So Emcee Infinite, not M.C. Infinite, just Emcee Infinite, all one word. And you can find me at emceeinfinite.com, Emcee Infinite on, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the same handle. And Venmo.
Right? Sponsor an artist, y'all.
So yeah, but I mean, it's like this. Hit it within a minute. It's imminent, infinite's unlimited. When independent, put in his pen in every sentence, and with perfect penmanship. He don't battle on the internet, but if he entered to be in it with him in an interview, insane, grinning, insane, and winning for the feeling, the killing, the gimmick. I ain't doing that. The sicker rappers might know. Centrifugal chemical physics on a micro. My quill is spilling while you're feeling Miller Light though. When I'm in the building, I bill a milliliter like a light bulb. I'm a pyro. Get your Geico. I'm liable. Might go psycho into a light pole. 60 military model rifle. 60 millimeter. I'm an Eiffel. Taiwan over MCs. I'm the Eiffel. I'm your idol. The highest title. Special ed. That's how dumb I go. Not a Machiavelli. I don't need a Mac 11. I can back up what I'm rapping. Get a cracker like I'm back in heaven. Smack. I'm like a Mac attack. I'm track. I'm like a pack of rapid cannibals. Combat the shackles like the battle back in Attica. Send out my enemies. Send them as venomous. Evidence is evident. I'm in your pretend to be relevance. While I'm emanating elegance, I'm a veteran. Meditating. Demonstrating medicine. I get it in. The beat is knocking. This is not a you a product like Prada. This is Alabama. Bada. Rocking Anajabi. Wacky popping in the lobby of an opera. Lot of drama. I'm a problem when I'm talking on a topic. I'ma keep it inside the pocket. These copper copies are sloppy. The cream of the wabi-sabi. They probably lobby to stop me. They come in the coffee that boxes. And while I'm cocky, chula poppy with the properties of Rocky Kamikaze. Bra.
What? All the answers, bitches. Do your work.
Do your work. Or do your work.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Well, sort of. What we need, I'm slow though. What we need is we need a fact check person. We need someone who wants to go through and be like, here's a link. This was not correct. It's actually this, da.
Yeah. That was a Sounds Awesome production.